Hey guys, it's Nick. Welcome back. If it's your first time here, my name is Nick, obviously, and I'm a guitar player from Detroit, and I do a lot of some camera gear reviews, but a lot of guitar content and some local Detroit stuff. Today, I want to talk to you about Stratocasters, my favorite guitar, and arguably one of the best guitars ever made. Anyways, I like them. But I want to talk about American Stratocaster, I want to talk about a Mexican standard, and I want to talk about a Squier, the differences between those, and some suggested upgrades for them, at least the bare minimum upgrades that I think you should do for a gigging musician, because I gig a lot. I've had probably over 1,000 gigs just on my Stratocasters, probably maybe a little bit more. And just some things that I've seen over the years on things that need to be upgraded on these guitars, so stay tuned. So Stratocaster has been around for a long time. In the 80s, I was playing a lot of heavy metal. So I had a Jackson, I had a Charvel for a while, I had a PV Tracer, which is pretty cool, and another PV guitar, a T15 that I first started with. And in the beginning of the 90s, I got out of the heavy metal, hard rock stuff, and I started getting into more grunge and a lot of blues after hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I didn't have a Stratocaster sound on my guitars, and I really liked that sound. So I started looking at Stratocasters, and I got this 1994 Mexican standard Stratocaster, which is my first one, for about, I think it was about $400 or $500 at the time, and it was great. This is my main gigging Strat for a long time, and I loved it. I still do. It's still actually one of my favorite guitars. But for what I noticed coming from humbuckers at the time and like a good solid tone, is that the pickups on these, the standard ones, were a little bit noisier than my humbuckers and even noisier than my Americans, and I'll tell you why. If you had like, I used to play like a lot of heavier gain, at least mid gain and high gain, and these are not great for that. There's a lot of noise, and of course you always need to learn how to control noise with your hand and your volume switch and all that. But it was a little bit noisier than I would have liked. I bought some lay sensors later at some point, which helped with the noise, but I still kept the actual Stratocasters down. So some of the things I've had to upgrade on the Stratocaster were the pickups. These are American pickups, actually, American standard pickups on this Mexican Stratocaster, because when I got my American, I bought new pickups for it, and I put the American pickups in here. So these still sound like a very traditional Stratocaster, however, they're a little more cleaner, less noisy, and handle higher gain a little bit better than the ones that are on here. So if you don't like these that are currently on here, I would suggest a pickup change. Another thing that I needed to upgrade on here was not the electronics, the soldering connections. This is a very good stable guitar. I've had to have this resoldered, or not resoldered, I've had to have maybe like 4 or 5 fixes done on it because this would disconnect or something in here would, because if you're a gigging musician and you use these a lot, these are getting bumped around, they're getting rattled, they're being thrown in cases and trunks, in trucks, hauled around on dollies for gigs and between band practices. So these get bumped around a lot. So a professional guitar that's used for a lot of gigs and even some touring, it's going to get banged around a lot. Now, it's not an abuse kind of thing. Of course, you want to take care of your gear, but it's a tool and it needs to work and perform reliably. And if these things get bumped around and shook, so if you end up shaking these things around like you normally would when you're actually using them like a tool in gigging, and things start disconnecting, that's not good. You can't rely on that, especially if you're getting paid for gigs to do that. You have to have something you can rely on. So after about the 4th time of getting this fixed, I just took it to somebody, had the whole thing completely taken apart, redone. I told them just give everything heavy duty on here to make sure I can go on a 6-month tour and not have to worry too much about it. And so this was resoldered by a friend of mine really well. I haven't had any problems with it since. The other things that are on here, the bent saddle tuners, they work pretty much fine. People complain about those. They work fine. Some people don't like the way the screws kind of come out and they dig in your hand a lot. It's not a problem for me. I play it all the time. I've played like tons of shows with it. I don't see it as a problem, but it's not ideal. You get used to it if you have it. It's certainly not an excuse that you have bent saddle tuners and something like that and you can't play the right way. Don't use it as an excuse, but it's not optimal. It's not as comfortable as, it's a little jagged, not as comfortable as it can be on some other ones. So that's a personal thing. The tuners on here, some people complain about the tuners. The tuners are fine. These are the original ones on here. They keep tuned very well. I don't use the trem bar much. If I did, I might get locking tuners on here. But in general, these tuners work pretty much fine. If they didn't, I would have replaced them a long time ago, but these are fine. So the only upgrades that I would suggest for a Mexican are pickups if you want. Definitely the soldering connections, just to make it more reliable so you can count on it for gigs. Now this is a 1996 Squier Stratocaster. A friend of mine bought this many years ago, decided he wanted to play guitar, then after about 2 weeks decided he didn't want to play anymore, and kind of let it sit in his room for a while and kind of gave it to me after a while. He said, I'm not going to play it, Nick, you take care of it. So I took it. I did play it for a little while. Now this isn't the original pick art. This is something that I made a long time ago for one of my other Strats, and I just stuck it on here just so it looks cool to put on here. Upgrades that I would do to this Stratocaster, well, there are a few of them that you would need to do if you're going to gig on it and you want it to be reliable. First of all, objectively, it's a good guitar. It's a good, solid guitar. If you want to learn, if you want to play in your bedroom or something, you certainly don't have any excuse to not play if you have one of these. The neck's actually really nice. I like it. And I actually use it for a noodling guitar a lot here and there. But some things that absolutely need to be replaced on this for you to be able to count on it are probably the pickups. Unless you're playing really clean things with no distortion, these pickups are going to be kind of low output. They don't sound great, and they're going to be pretty noisy. So I would suggest probably getting whatever pickups you are. And there's no best pickups. Don't ask that question. It depends on what you like. What's the best food to eat? What's the best color to wear? It's all subjective. There are a lot of excellent pickups on there. Just pick up a good brand. Pick up a good brand. Just pick a good brand and talk to some people and get some ideas. But pickups are easy to replace on these, whether you're doing or somebody else is doing that. It's a quick change. People do them quite often, all the time anyways. Pickups definitely suggested. This they don't have bent saddles, they have the block ones, but the tremolo's fine. Again, I wouldn't use it for heavy tremolo work, especially not without locking tuners. The tuners are kind of crappy on the Squier Strat, at least this one. What makes them different than the other ones? Well, they slip a little bit. Sometimes you touch them and they'll just, they don't, when they turn a little bit, a good one like a Spurzl or an American Standard, they turn really smoothly. They stay locked wherever you keep them. These will, like, if you bump it around, sometimes they'll jerk a little bit and slip, and sometimes you have to like tune it down, then retune it back up to pitch like 5 or 6 times for it to stay. And even like the next day, it'll slip and you have to retune it. So they're not ideal. I definitely would replace these, especially if I'm playing gigs. I need to count on this, or if you just don't want to mess with them anymore. Again, it's not an excuse for you not to play if you have one of these. And at the very least, if you keep these on here, you'll get better at tuning because you'll have to do it tuning a lot more. So there's definitely no excuse to not play or say that you don't have good enough equipment. They work fine, but you're going to have to mess with them a little bit more. The soldering connections on here are absolutely horrendous. Unless you're going to be really lightly playing it in your room, which some people do, which is just fine. You're going to have some soldering connections on here. You move this around, bump it around a lot, throw it in cases back and forth a couple gigs, and you're going to have just connections on here and just won't play. So for me, an upgrade to better connections, like completely taking it apart, having somebody who knows what they're doing solder all the connections perfectly, that will help stabilize a guitar so you can actually rely on it, count on it. If you're gigging with this and you're getting paid to perform and you need this to be reliable, you're definitely going to want probably some better pickups, definitely better soldering connections, and I would consider putting different tuners on here. Other than that, these are good guitars, a lot better than you would think for a $120 guitar. I mean, it's made pretty well. It feels like my other Stratocaster, and it's just a great guitar actually for the money. So comparing my prized '98 American customized Stratocaster to this starting line Squier Stratocaster, that's like 1/10 of the price. Is there much of a difference? There is quite a bit of a difference. Whether you can notice the difference or whether those differences matter to you or not is a whole different thing. And a lot of them are like refinements, stability, ruggedness, tone, how noisy they are, how reliable they are, things like that. If those things don't matter to you, this is fine. If you're a gigging musician, you definitely want something a little more stable. Now you can make these things more stable with some of the recommended suggestions that I talked about in upgrades. And here's the thing, a lot of people will buy one of these and then say, well, I'm gonna upgrade it eventually. But here's what ends up happening. All the upgrades that you would need to put on here, once you buy this guitar and pay for those upgrades, you've probably paid more for this than you will a Mexican Standard in the meantime. So you might want to consider that. You'll actually be saving money. And it says Fender on there if that's something you like. I do. I like Fender brands, so I like buying their things. But again, I gotta say there's no excuse to not play and play well for like your whole life if you have one of these. Use it, play the hell out of it. And you can upgrade along the way, and maybe paying a little bit more for this over a few years is a better option money-wise for you, and that's perfectly fine. So if you do have one of these, just make sure you play it to the best of your ability and rock it out. Strats are definitely great guitars. You'll love them no matter which one you have and whether you upgrade them or not. And those are just some suggestions I've had for playing thousands of gigs on Stratocasters and playing a lot of different ones. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know which one you have. If you have a Stratocaster, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, anything you've had to upgrade on it, or if you have any questions about these. I've like done a lot of modifications with Stratocasters, and I've played with them and gigged with them in a lot of different scenarios, and I know them pretty well inside and out. So let me know, and I'll see if I can help out when I can. You guys have a great day, and take care. Rock on. five, you can see it, there you go, five videos are what I recorded the other day on my Fuji X-E2 and my Purple Panda lavalier mic. And that mic, once again, just didn't connect to the camera the right way. And then after I shot all these 5 videos, I looked back and the audio was terrible because it wasn't using my lavalier mic, it was using the camera body mic, and it caught all the stuff from around the room, and it just sounded like crap, probably like this does right now. It sounded like crap, so I had to redo all these things, and the Strat video is actually one of them. But I think I did a little bit better this time anyways. Maybe not, let me know. But I have some other things to do for Stratocasters and gear sometime soon. And I still have a list of stuff that I need to record this weekend. So let me know if you guys want anything in particular from this channel, and I will talk to you guys probably over the weekend. I'll do some vlog or something like that, some more gear. Bye, take care.